And I'll keep it on. That's right. We can do it.
So,
Can you all hear us?
great. All right.
Sweet. Okay. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I didn't do anything.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think you missed much. I think you just missed that I blew my back out and so I can't sit down. And if you hear some spasming in my voice, it's just my back.
Oh, sorry, Kari.
Thank you. Just to recap, we did open our doors on September 5th. We currently have 21 students enrolled and there are 22 additional students on the waiting list. I was in the process of recruiting shamelessly for a teacher because we've got Alyssa and she'll talk in just a minute. But in order to serve these additional 22 students and beyond, we need to have another adult present. Our goal for year one was to serve 25 students and successfully bring them closer to graduation. We're at 21 students now and the students are doing great. The economic development link I think is important is that all of our students are required as a student career and success center to participate in career development. At this point, all of our students are who are eligible are signing up with the Workforce Services Youth Work Program. And so that program provides incentives for students to graduate, to get their license, to earn certain life skills, to participate in that career development element. And those who are not eligible are those who are 14. And so that we have to wait till they turn 16, right? Until they can sign up for the Workforce Services Development Program. So there's a great partnership with Workforce Services. In addition, students are participating in internships throughout the community, and the community, the small business community and the community at large has been phenomenal at supporting student internships, which is great for workforce development. So with that, do you have any questions for me?
I just have one. When we visited you, you were not being able to meet the demand. Do you still have a higher demand than supply that you can take care of right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Do
and
you know
most-
what that number is that you?
There are 21 students on the waiting list and more are added each week.
Okay.
And so like I said, if you know any adult who wants to work with Grand County's finest, it is a full-time job. It has benefits and retirement. In the Utah retirement system, I don't know what else, how else to plug it. We have, I'm actively recruiting. So if you know of anybody, please encourage them just to reach out and I'll have a conversation with them.
Any kind of teacher?
Any kind of teacher.
Teacher of anything.
Of anything.
Okay.
Teenagers, because Jimena is like one of our superstars, and then there are others who really aren't that into school. And so the students who are attending run the spectrum from like, I just want to be done, like help me reach my goal, to I don't really care and I might not make it if you weren't here to sort of bring me along. And so if a love of teenagers is probably the most important thing.
Karen has a question.
Karen?
Kari, I was just curious at the grade levels that you have right now.
The goal for this year is 9 through 12, and that's the age that we're serving. But what we're realizing is that some of our ninth graders are really young.
So, I mean, out of like how many will graduate out of the program this year if they stay with it, out of those 22 that you have?
We have 6 seniors currently, and we're in the process of onboarding 2 more. And then we have 8 juniors, 5 sophomores, and 2 freshmen.
Gotcha. Oh, great. Okay.
Other questions?
You said part of this goal was to increase your graduation rate?
Correct.
What are your current rates?
So our 2023 graduation rate was 73%. Terrible. Yeah. So, and the state average is supposedly 92%. The state takes your graduation rate from your 7th, 8th, and 9th grade enrollment, those numbers. And so for us, our 7th, 8th, and 9th grade enrollment is right around 130. We graduate every year right around 100 students. So yeah, we need to do something different. And so this was part of the answer.
Jasmine had a question.
Yeah, Kari, so you say there's more being added to the waiting list every week. Does that mean that we're looking at possibly worse rate than that?
I didn't hear the end of the question yet.
Yeah, I mean, if more kids are being added to that waiting list every week, are we potentially looking at worse than a 73%?
I hope not. I hope that this is a stopgap so that that doesn't happen, but the graduation rate since 2014 has been periodically going down, decreasing from Grand Canyon High School, minus a little blip in 2020, which was the weird COVID year when we were required to hold everybody harmless. And so our graduation rate was a little bit higher that year because there was this hold harmless clause. But then, since then, it's still been going down. So yeah, we have a progressive decrease in graduation rate since 2014. So this was just an answer to that. I hope it's not worse. I hope it gets better. I am going to let these guys talk because they're the boots on the ground and a student.
Hi. Do you want me to stand? I'm not going to. My name's Alyssa. This is Jimena. I think that the easiest way to kind of help you get an idea of what it's like in this program is if I just ask Jimena some questions to kind of get you going with what you're going to say. And then if you all have any questions for her, we can go from there. So the first thing I would ask Jimena, which I like to ask all of the students, is what is different for you in this program as opposed to traditional high school?
So I definitely think, so this year they changed from trimesters to quarters. So this year I definitely think it's different because every month Alyssa and Kari ask us, what is your main goal for the end of this month? And they'll do whatever is possible to help you accomplish that goal. And I realized that while I was at the high school, the teacher had a goal for every student, but every student did not have the same idea for themselves. So you're going at a teacher's pace with a student that's either not necessarily lower in education, but if they have a whole different goal for them, you can't really achieve it because you're at the same pace with every other student, whether they have a higher education level or it's just some other reason that they have. So every month we let them know a goal that we have. So my yearly goal was I am currently a junior. So my goal was I wanted to graduate early. And since at the high school it's a different pace and you're going at the same pace as every other student, you can't really advance because you're getting the same work over and over. So however, here it's online courses. Online courses, they're all self-paced. So for me, I found out that if I really look into a class, I can finish that class in 2 to 3 days with learning something else. Every student's different. And I know today we were talking about how a student in our class has 9 completed classes and they had started, I want to say 2 months ago. They started 2 months ago. And here, if you were at the high school, since they're currently struggling to, since they're currently struggling to be on time because of everything that happened with COVID and we're still behind, it's like kind of chaotic. So I do realize that I definitely like this program more because of the fact that even though it's one teacher, she is constantly like helping you out accomplish your goal. And every month when you accomplish it, you get a new goal and you get a new goal. And it's a goal you set for yourself. It's not a goal that the teacher sets for you. So she has every month or every couple of months, she'll call in the student and the parents or their guardian, and they'll let you know, okay, this is where your student's at for their goal. They have to do this and this.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions about what Jimena was saying?
Well, I have a comment. Thank you very much for coming to talk to us.
Yeah.
I just want to say that Ximena kind of part of my family. So I'm really glad that she's doing this program because everybody is different. And also she's a full-time worker, but also she's a student, and that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Jimena, you said you wanted to graduate early.
Mhm.
What do you want to do next?
So I would like to go study to become a forensic pathologist, which is something I've really always been interested in. So after that, I've applied to some colleges getting, I'm just waiting for either emails back or something. And then Alyssa's currently helping me, try to sign up for some scholarships to be able to go to them.
Great. Did you watch too many episodes of Bones?
No, I definitely get it from my mom. But yeah, it's just something I've always been interested in.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So with the way that the program, that Kari and you all have been able to set up, the way that the time blocks are, all of the students begin where they're committed to 2 hours a day where they're spending time in class. And they're going forward with their online courses, and that gives them time. There are plenty of students, Jimena included, who are working part to full-time at the same time, so they are already deeply involved in the community in that way. And it also gives them, like Jimena was saying, a bit more autonomy with the way they're able to choose what they're working on next, where there's going to help them either with the job that they already have, that they've decided they're very passionate about, or the job they have that has given them work experience that they realize they are not in any way passionate about. So now they want to discover something else that is an option for them. And so I'm really enjoying and appreciating the opportunity to be in a much smaller classroom setting and have just 8 students in each 2-hour block, which is the goal. We haven't fully filled that yet, but we're on our way. Because I'm able to get to know them. I'm able to help them really kind of imagine where they are and whether they like the way everything is going or if they would like to make changes. And yes, Jimena is incredibly motivated and ready to go on to the next thing, but it's really nice to have students in the same block, even with Jimena, who are in no way as motivated as she is, because the amount of conversations like, she finished another class. And then done with another one. What is she doing? And then just the conversations that inspires in the students between myself and them or amongst themselves that I can witness has been really great in the past couple months. Yeah.
Are you under the same state standards for what you need in order to graduate, in order to, if you were decided you wanted to go to college, let's say, like university classes, your math, your sciences, your English, etc.?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the same requirements to get, there is a set requirement for the state of Utah, and then there are particular requirements in order to get a Grand County High School diploma, which would allow them to participate in the graduation ceremony. And there are plenty of students that have already decided, at least at this point, that they're not immediately interested in college. And so that opens up the door there. Then it's maybe better at this point to get a Utah State diploma, which requires less credits than a Grand County high school diploma. And so we kind of have those conversations pretty routinely because most teenagers change their mind very frequently, which is why we make the time to have them reassess their goals every month for some, day for others. Just
That would have
depending.
been.
I just wanted to thank you also for having some of your students participate in my Moab Real Roulette film competition.
Jimena
that I put
filmed
on.
that.
That
It was not
You
on
guys-
film.
But you
But
guys,
she was-
you didn't show up for the actual night of, which was a little heartbreaking.
Yes.
She came
Yeah.
in your stead, but I have to
Everything
say,
was
as your MC of the night and putting on the film competition, it was so fun to watch the movie, and I really wish you had all been there to be able to see it on the screen, which is why I put on those competitions, but I love that your students were able to.
They worked under such duress. There were so many technical difficulties at every turn and they did not give up. I was so impressed.
I'm very proud and very impressed.
And I definitely do like how you made that township because of the fact that in Grand County High School, you don't get those opportunities to like, the school's all in a classroom, you're kind of just absorbing so much information that many kids just can't, like, they'll learn one thing, but since you're going at such a fast pace, you don't get full information. So I really like that because one, it gives students a chance to like see if you're interested in film, like it gives students a chance to actually express that and do it. And it's just a lot more fun than sitting on a classroom all day, just looking at a screen or a package and everything. And especially because it's helping you with your grade. So it's like we volunteered, our first opinion was we weren't going to do it, but we did as a whole class and everybody got ahead on at least one credit. And it was actually fun because it also brought us a lot closer. Cause I do remember before it, like that classroom was like silent.
You're why I do the competition,
Yeah.
honestly. I mean, all the other people that were involved are great, but you and your fellow students at high school, what the reasons that I do those,
Yeah.
put those on is for exactly what you just said. So thank you.
So, Jimena, are you in your 2-hour classroom time with 21 other students at this, or is it broken up?
So it's broken up into different blocks. So at first I started off with just going for 2 hours. But since my goal was to graduate early, I decided to go for 4 hours. So instead of going from 8 to 10, I go from 8 to 12. And in our first block, we have 3 students. And then in our second block, we have 7 students. So they're all separate, but each student goes to their class, and I mean, I like communicate more with them. But since that was technically my goal to graduate, I go for 8 to 12.
Gotcha. So how do you, and you guys, I'm sorry, I guess I don't have a visualization of how the programming works. So how are the other kids doing their block times? If there's only 3 students at one time and then 7, I mean, that.
As you
What
can
do you-
imagine, it's hard to get high school students to show up from 8 to 10, so that's our least favorite block at this point. But every student shows up and they have their classes on the online program that we use. And so it's all self-paced, like she said, so they show up and they get on the online program and they work on their classes, or they can do that from home. Not during their block time, they have to show up during their block time, but they can also get online at home and do their work from home. And so, yeah, that's how it ends up being. And so we do have some some slot availability from 8 to 10. It's just the hardest time to get high school students to commit to.
And then-
I would encourage you to come by and check it
No,
out. Just see
No, I
what's going
will.
on.
I know that's super exciting.
Yeah, 5 minutes and you'll get a feel for what's going on.
Should vouch for that. We came up with this grade.
Any final thoughts from the 3 of you? Anything else?
Oh, no, we talked about the project-based learning, yeah. So, the film commission, the students have the opportunity to earn credit through project-based learning as well. The film commission was one project. We have partnerships with the Youth Garden Project. We have yet to fulfill that, like any work there, but we worked with the
Moab Community Land Trust. And we'll have project-based learning options with the library coming up and with Science Moab.
and what's the other one that's there? They had their meeting today? They did that big one.
Room to room.
Room to room restoration, yeah. So it's great because we're in that facility and there's all these nonprofits that are doing all of these things throughout the community. And so they're right there to sort of support the project-based learning piece.
That leads me to one more, I'm sorry, to take control of this. Your interns, are they under the same 45 minutes, 4 days a week scenario as the other Grand County High School kids, or do you get them for longer?
You get them for longer.
How long do you get them for?
Or depending on what their block is, so up 2 hours, up to 4 hours,
Every 5 days?
correct. Or 4 days, whatever, if you want an intern, you can negotiate that with Melissa. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Well, thank you all
Yeah,
for
thank you.
coming. Amanda, thank you for sharing your experiences.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me and letting me join.
Good
luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah,
On graduating early.
Yeah.
Can do it.
Yeah.
well, thank you. We have 2 more agenda items. But for those of us who went through the conversations about whether and how we make this investment, this is I think a real lift to do that. I was personally delighted to hear that they're gonna get money for another teacher. So the school district is finally standing up to their responsibility in ways that they hadn't earlier.
Or they did have the means.
Pardon?
Or they did have the means.
Or they did have the means and
They
didn't
did
want to.
They have the means, I don't think
I
they
don't
did.
know.
They're like most school districts.
Yeah.
Squeezing every nickel out of it, every dime out of a nickel.
So the next item on the agenda is board openings, applications, and interview process. As of today, we have 3 applicants for the 3 positions. I'm not sure how they align with the requirements of those positions. Ben Alter has applied. Ashley Kornblatt, did I say that correctly? Has applied. And I have applied to re-up for another term. We have 3 applicants. The intent was to interview candidates at the December 13 meeting. And oh my. One of the things we're asking is, well, let me step back. If Jasmine, I can't see you, but you are still with us, correct?
I am, yeah.
And Jasmine had some thoughts and reflections about the interview process and how it was done in the past, and ways to make that more professional than and more worthwhile for both the applicants and the board. So would you share those now?
Sure, yeah, I just had some concerns kind of over the process that we used in the past. And I think it was like our understanding based on, I guess maybe the county attorney, that we had to have those interviews in a public meeting in front of the other applicants. And something about that just has felt really weird to me the entire time. So I've been just digging in code and trying to figure out how that is backed by code, and I really can't find it. So as far as what I'm seeing in the Open Public Meetings Act, the only interviews you cannot conduct in a closed meeting are those for elected official positions. And these are appointments. These are like appointments to an advisory board. So I think we should get that clarified, because I'm not so sure that having the interviews in a public meeting in front of all of the other applicants is necessarily the most professional way we can do this. I had one of the previous interviewees even say that it felt a bit intimidating, and I could see, like, it just seemed like they'd never been to any kind of interview like that before. You know, it was just kind of weird. And it felt weird to me, like the way we set it up. I don't know if it felt weird to anyone else, especially when I was being.
God, wasn't it?
I think
Yeah.
part of like even more weirdness for the board, because I watched their body language.
Oh, yeah.
You and I were part of that interview process. I didn't mind the interview process. It was difficult for me to watch the board struggle with talking about us and taking a vote in front of us. I felt their discomfort. I felt worse for them than I felt for me as an interviewer. Like, I don't mind, I'm on the spectrum, like, go ahead, have a conversation. But they were just so uncomfortable.
It was almost.
I think that's hard.
It's the proper thing for me to talk to the admin and see what my law allows.
I've done research on it as well. In fact, it was just the other night, for some reason, I was reading up on it. And from my understanding, it's right there with Jasmine's, is that and that's really awkward. It's even worse, because I've done both. When you have to interview for somebody, say a commissioner resigns for some reason, and then you have to appoint another commissioner, you have to do that open public. But I cannot find anything where you have to do that open public. It most likely has to be taped and recorded, but it probably doesn't have to be on YouTube.
And is it possible even that I'm not even sure that the whole board needs to be the interviewing like committee. We could probably even just have an interviewing subcommittee.
I don't, I think you have to do it in a meeting with the board. I think that's county policy. But I don't think you have to do it.
But yeah.
But I don't think you have to do it where it's on YouTube but it does have to be recorded like all meetings.
And you expect them to do it in front of all the other applicants?
No, I think that they don't have to do it in front of all the other applicants.
So we can invite them in.
It could be then in a closed session.
And
And
ask
an
them to leave when
executive
we're
session.
discussing.
That's what I understand,
Okay.
that, you, just like you do, like if you're interviewing for a position, you don't have, we interviewed for I'm sure we can have all the applicants come in at the same time, and you stand there and watch people debate. That just doesn't seem.
Healthy university
healthy
system
way to
is a little
do.
weird because sometimes you.
But
get
I
all
think we
the-
should, before the next meeting, clarify what we do.
Jasmine, were you following that conversation?
Yeah, I'm kind of following it. There's a couple of people talking, but so I think if we have to interview so Mary, are you saying that the county's policy is that you interview these people in a public meeting?
You have to have a recording of it.
So, but it could be a recorded closed session.
I believe so, but we have to find
That
out.
to me feels more appropriate for the interviews themselves, like individually interview each person.
And I think it should be okay I would think it would be okay for the board to discuss the candidates.
Yeah.
Independently, but let's get with Steve, let's find this out and get it cleared up before the 13th.
Yes.
Karen?
I was just gonna say, I mean, Forrest, when you and I interviewed 2 years ago, it was individual. I mean, we didn't do it in a group setting, and then it allowed the committee who was going to, do the recommendation to the commission to have those discussions. I mean, we had no information. We couldn't watch a video afterwards and hear what they had to say about each interviewee, which seemed, I mean, it was a very comfortable position, I think, as an interviewee, and I would imagine as an interviewer. So
Yeah, and I don't know why we switched, and I don't understand.
I don't know why that happened, Jasmine. I'm not sure.
It was.
I suspect it was a crunch on time to make sure that we could fill the board in order to meet the requirements the state has for the grants, for pursuing the grants with the criterion that they've listed in terms of representation of the board. But that's in the past. They got stuck with Karen and Forrest. But my recommendation would be that for the 13th, we'll get Stephen's imprimatur on this, but the interviews should be the board, including ex officios who won't vote, but can listen in and provide feedback or commentary or observations. And the board will meet with the candidates individually. So if we've got 3 candidates, there will be 3 interviews. We should set a time limit for those, which I would think is somewhere between 12 and 15 minutes. And then we can excuse all the applicants and then go into deliberation and then make the recommendation, the formal recommendation to the commission. Does that make sense?
Sounds great.
And then if they want to be interviewed on Zoom, we've done that in the past.
Right.
We can figure that out, yeah. I had one other thing about the questions. I think Forrest had a good start there on ideas for questions, but I think we need to make sure that like on the one that explains why we exist, that we include the parts about the rural grant, being a big part of that, just so that.
Yeah, so that is a starter list and to prompt people to think about questions. And if you have edits to those or other questions, if you could email them to Sky by next Friday, which is the 8th. And that way we can compile them and then we can set the schedule for the applicants in case there are more at that time. Okay? Great. All right. Any other questions about the board and moving forward with the board? We're all for it, right?
When is it open till the date for the applicants
We've
outside
already-
the degree?
We've already gone past that.
Oh, you have?
So, but I think at this point, we should go ahead and accept applicants until next Friday. Does Costner want to be on this board?
Kevin's calling.
Okay. I'm disappointed that we don't have more interest. And I don't know whether the experience of the last time when we, I think, had 8 or 9 people interviewing, might have diminished the number of people who wanted to take the time.
It was right after an election. And so there was a whole bunch of, people who had kind of been involved in the elections, but energy to be on
Okay.
boards, all of them increased. I mean, normally we're begging, we're looking behind bushes to try to get people to fill positions on boards.
Yeah,
And that, right after the last year's election, all the boards had a lot of people applying.
And this one in particular, I think because we were deciding on so much grant money.
Yeah.
There was a lot of interest because of that.
Yes, exactly. Okay, next, so thank you all. Can you help us communicate with Stephen to?
I have it.
Okay, and I'll slip a 20 under the table for Melissa to make sure he rules in our favor.
Recorded.
That's fine. It's under the table. It's on tape or video or whatever.
YouTube.
Better yet. Yeah. It's nice to go viral for something other than coronavirus or anything like that. Consideration for future agenda items. It seems that the strategic planning process is going to be a major item on our agenda as we move forward. And to the 3 of you, you may have this history, but 18 months ago, there was an expectation that the board was going to be active in actually driving the planning process because financial considerations were being made and juggled and the like. So as you can tell, there's great talent on this board and a great deal of interest in the future of Moab. So you sure will have some time with everybody on the board to gain their benefit. But I don't know, I haven't even thought again about the next cycle of grants.
Well, I have a future consideration.
Yay.
And it was, Karen brought it up and others was, we want to have a better collaboration between the county and the city.
Mhm.
And this board is a county board, so there's much more county people involved. And we talked about, and so I think for a meeting, we have to have a discussion and create a means by which we can get the city and the county, the city more active participants in this board. I think one would be having an elected official. I think it's important. It's great to have a city employee. But I think it would be good to see if we could get a commission, counselor.
One thing too, Mary, just so you know that we did ask for submission from the city for a steering committee member. and they wanted to wait till after the election. We can reach out again, but we have not heard back, but we did make that offer to have someone from the city on the strategic plan steering committee. So we had identified someone, they said, we'd rather that you didn't pick the person who was an elected official, and then we said, okay, tell us who. And so we opened it up to either one of their staff or elected officials, so, I think we can ask again, but we certainly have made that offer.
And I've talked to, all the candidates that were up for the election, or running the first time, and said that we wanted the city to be more active in this board. Because I really think Karen had the right idea that the county and the city are the same, and the city downtown and the safety issues downtown, we could be grants to help in that. And get a art administrator.
Yeah, Mary, what do you think we should do in terms of, I mean, so perhaps we want to, in addition to Michael, obviously, who gets invited every time, invite Joette to join us, the mayor to join us for our next meeting or an upcoming meeting to discuss this?
Council, the ones
Right.
that do the voting. So I think one of the members of the council.
Well, so one of
And I
our goals
know-
would be that one of the counselors joins us as a member of the board, right?
Well, like I am, a liaison.
I mean, I think that's, so what, I guess my question is,
Do we
what
have to
are the
jump
steps
by those?
between now and getting that to happen essentially?
And I think
So I'd
what-
say we would
That's
have-
why I thought that was the discussion. I wanted this as a future consideration. For us to think about ways and brainstorm and come up with ideas as to how. And I'd like to see it,
Yeah,
that all the time I've been on board, I've wanted to see better collaboration between city and county.
yeah,
And it's hard because we're all so busy.
And then one of the first tasks of the year is to review the bylaws, the board. So that could be one of the
Part of
first
it is
discussions.
doing.
I mean, I guess in addition to just us discussing that as a group, I mean, I think it would be helpful, the more representation we have from the city in that conversation, the more likely I think we are to have success with the sort of goal moving forward. So I guess maybe something I would suggest is that in addition to having Michael and the rest of us as a board have that conversation in our next meeting, you know, maybe we can invite a special representative or two from the city, whomever the appropriate people are,
Or
whether
even
it's.
have a joint city county. We used to have, it's been a long time, a joint city, council, county commission meeting. And economic development board, have a joint meeting with all participants, sit around the table. Get all commissioners and council people seeing our vision. Buying the vision and moving forward. So I want that's too much to discuss today.
But we can get, that's the goal, is to get to that point. And
But to Chris's point, oh, I'm so sorry, Forrest, no, please finish.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, to Chris's point, though, he has a great idea. I mean, if we were just to invite the mayor to our next meeting, and then she could sort of see what it is that we're needing, for this board to have an effective collaboration with the city, then come January, when they have to go through and decide who, like, cause every city council member has to pick boards that they're representative of. I mean, then that choice could be made then. But I think if we do have that buy-in from the mayor, then she can present that to her new council and, you know, existing council.
So maybe invite the mayor to the next meeting.
We'll
And maybe
take that.
she decides she wants to be the person who is the liaison. I mean, that'd be great too.
With the December 13th meeting.
Yeah. So she could be on board, if to see if there's buy-in from the mayor, so that she can present it to the council.
Ben, maybe you and I can schedule time with her. That's only 2 weeks away.
Yeah, I don't know if our next meeting is gonna be a great meeting for her to attend, just because we might be in some closed sessions.
We could have that as the first agenda item.
Yeah,
That's a great idea.
yeah, we could have her for part of that.
That's
Yeah, okay.
And then one last thing,
Yes, ma'am.
if we could consider next year's meeting dates too before we adjourn, that would be great.
It's, because it's all about,
No,
So,
the chamber.
according to the bylaws, we're scheduled to meet on the first Wednesday after the last Monday.
Okay, well, we can decide.
Do we get to
Yeah.
change
we-
that?
We could make
Okay.
we could basically vote on whatever we feel.
Any recommendations?
On every full moon.
I think what it's been this year is the last Wednesday, 3 to 5, essentially, right?
Mhm. With
Yeah,
that
this
weird
is-
caveat that Forrest put up there, but yeah.
Yes.
And there was some weird glitch that one time. I can't remember why they did that last.
But I don't think many boards are changing their days, so it's likely that we could get the chambers on those days still if we want to stick to that kind of time.
Let's plan to stay with the schedule we've got.
Okay,
So it'll be the first Wednesday after after the last Monday.
no. It'd just be the last Wednesday. of
Let's
the
just
month.
leave it.
Wednesday, and then we'll adjust to.
Pick the last Wednesday of the month, that's
Okay,
easier. So
last
it's
Wednesday of the
gonna either be
month.
the fourth Wednesday or the fifth Wednesday.
Yeah. And then
It's
we'll
the last
adjust to the
Wednesday. 3 to
Gregorian
5.
calendar if we need to.
Or 3 o'clock start.
Yeah, okay,
Is there a
done.
motion? For that?
Was that?
All
an action
approved?
item?
It's an action item.
It's an action item. There's a motion on the table to retain the 2023 meeting schedule in 2024.
Or to make it the last
Wednesday.
the last Wednesday of the month.
Yeah.
Make a
Last
motion to make it for the last Wednesday of the month.
I
Okay.
second Karen's motion.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor? All of you who are ready to leave. After this meeting.
Thank you.
Motion passes, it'll be reflected in the minutes. Thank you all for.
Well, thank you. It
sitting
was
through
great
this.
seeing
It's
all of
been
you
so-
in person and having the opportunity early on to hear some thoughts.
Likewise, and just thanks for being here, and
Yeah.
doing this work with us. We're really excited about it. I mean, it's, as Forrest already said, it's work that matters to all of us here as part of this board, and we're really excited to have additional resources to help us as a community sort of have a clearer vision. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, and Justin, thanks for sitting in. You, in your mind now have the schedule for 2024. And, I can find your email address online.
Sky does a really good job of keeping me on track.
Welcome to the club.
I couldn't take the last one
That's
though.
a big group.
I was double booked, but yeah, you do a really good job.
Yes, sure.
I haven't even.
The team does.
We got.
We see all of you at the community forums.
Sounds good.
Yes, good point, and we'll send reminders when we get to when they're scheduled.